Our highest positions, I can buy up to 10% position in any one fund, and then let it run. We'll let it run to 12 or 13%, at which point we'll take profits. We get a lot of questions about how can you be so positive on Tesla and be selling it? Well, I sold it just in the way I described, but it never lost the number one position in our funds. If we had not taken profits in its ride up from 178 to 900 or nearly 1,000, it would have been nearly 20, maybe over 20% of the fund. That would not be wise portfolio management. We like to control our position sizes as I described.
Hey, I'm Stephen and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So, as you guys and girls will probably all know by now, I read every single comment here on this YouTube channel. I also get quite a few DMs on my social media on Instagram and Twitter at Stephen Mark Ryan, and I notice common themes, recurring questions over and over, the same question coming up, many people wanting to know an answer. Usually this is the result of an article that gets widespread coverage or a targeted campaign of FUD. And in this particular case, I've noticed a ton of people asking the question, why is Cathie Wood selling Tesla stock? I've also seen a ton of people spreading FUD in the comments on this channel and across Twitter and all sorts of other places as well. Now, I just want to make a distinction. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being ignorant of information, not knowing the answer to certain questions, etc. But there is something enormously wrong with spreading misinformation. In one case, you're ignorant. In the other case, you're a complete and utter fucking moron. The goal of this video is simply to inform those who are currently uninformed and therefore ignorant of ARK Invest's active management strategy of their portfolio of ETFs. In other words, to explain why ARK Invest and Cathie Wood regularly sell Tesla stock, and just because they are selling Tesla stock, why it doesn't mean that they're no longer bullish on the company. Now, I don't think this video is going to get through to any of the morons out there who project their own assumptions and are unwilling to listen to evidence, even if it comes directly from Cathie Wood herself explaining their portfolio management style. But hey, you never know. And I also hope that this may be a great video for you guys and girls to share every time you see somebody spreading FUD about ARK Invest because they've sold Tesla and making erroneous and, yes, I'm going to say it, moronic assertions that aren't grounded in reality. For example, they sold Tesla stock, therefore they hate Tesla now. They're no longer bullish on Tesla because they sold Tesla stock, blah, 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 blah. So with that said, let's get into the video. If you love crypto, stocks, and free stuff, or just want to help out the channel, check out these great offers. BlockFi are launching the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card. People in the US can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase with no annual fee using the BlockFi Bitcoin rewards credit card. Check out the link in the description. And for a limited time, you can get up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $300 just for opening an account. And if you make an initial deposit of $5 or more, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $2,000. Seriously. Free stocks? Yes, please. And finally, if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Let's get back to it.
What's interesting about what you're doing, Cathie, is it's very actively managed, and you make a very big point of the active management parts. So for something like next generation internet ETF, what goes into deciding what the weightings are? It's not a big index. You're picking the stocks here. But how do you determine what you like and don't like?
Well, we have top-down modeling, bottom-up modeling, and then an overlay, a 6-metric scoring system that is very important to innovation, starting with a visionary management, moats or barriers to entry, market share leadership, execution, thesis, risk, and valuation. And our stock positions line up pretty well with the composite of those scores. So generally, that's how we work it. Okay, so it's
a focused methodology that you're using, right?
Yes.
You're not. It's not an old. It's a sort of a screen. I'm trying to make. It's a scientific methodology you're using here.
Well, yeah. there's some art here as well. We generally start a position in genomics. We'll start it at 50 basis points, or in the other funds 100.
Okay, so just want to quickly chime in here and explain for those of you who don't understand the jargon, 50 basis points is 0.5%. In other words, when ARK is establishing a new position, in particular in their genomics ETF, in a genomics company, they will begin with a position that as a percent of the entire ETF makes up 0.5%, 0.5% of the whole ETF. And in their other funds, when they're buying into positions other than genomics companies, they'll generally start with a position that's 100 basis points, 1% of the total value of that ETF.
Our highest positions, I can buy up to 10% position in any one fund, and then let it run. We'll let it run to 12 or 13%, at which point we'll take profits.
And there we have it. That's it. That is the explanation. Let's think about this for a moment here. Cathie would explain that they can buy a position until it makes up 10% of the ETF by value. They will not buy any more of that stock once the position in that stock is already at 10% of the value of the ETF. And the kicker, the real point there, Cathie Wood also said that they will then let that stock run to 12 to 13% of the value of the ETF at most, before then trimming that position down to 10% or less. That is why ARK Invest continues to sell Tesla stock. So, a quick summary there. If ARK Invest buys Tesla stock and then, wait for it, this is the crazy part, then Tesla stock grows in value, which is, I know, a crazy idea. I mean, why would you buy a Tesla stock if you're an investment firm actively managing an ETF? It's not like you want it to go up after you buy it or anything. Then, after Tesla stock goes up and exceeds 10% of the value of any one of their ETFs, they'll let it ride for 1, 2, 3%, then trim that position back down to 10% or less, locking in massive profits. That is ARK Invest actively managing their portfolio, following their own rules for their own ETFs that they have established internally. It says nothing whatsoever about their views, their thesis on Tesla, Tesla stock, or any other company or stock for that matter. But please, don't tell that to the brain-dead journalists, the fake news, the dumbasses in the mainstream finance media who don't like to think, but do like to attract your eyeballs to lure in more advertising dollars, no matter the cost. Drama, fear, uncertainty, doubt, whatever it takes to get people to pay attention to your garbage journalism. I was just thinking, is that a little bit harsh? But no, it's not. It's fairly accurate. Let's skim through a few headlines recently. Cathie Wood's ARK Invest sold $605 million in Tesla last month, but doubled down on this, that, and the other. Now, if you don't know the first thing about how ARK manages their portfolios, you might think, ooh, that's a lot of Tesla stock that they sold. Should I sell mine too? Cathie Wood sells $270 million in Tesla. Isn't this a great way to get people to click on your journalism? Cathie Wood has sold $266 million of Tesla stock in September. Cathie Wood's ARK Invest sells $110 million in Tesla stock as insiders also dump shares. Cathie Wood keeps selling Tesla, unloading $62 million of shares. Cathie Wood sells $109 million of Tesla stock despite predicting 300% rise. Now, as we know, most people don't generally like to think for themselves. It hurts too much. In addition, very few people actually like to read articles in full. Instead, they just like to skim headlines and then react and respond accordingly. Now we're going to go through those same headlines and I'm going to translate them more literally. Cathie Wood's ARK Invest continues to follow her own guidelines and principles in terms of actively managing her ETFs. Cathie Wood continues to actively manage her ETFs. Cathie Wood's ARK Invest sells $110 million in Tesla stock as they continue to actively manage their ETFs based on their own guidelines. Cathie Wood keeps following her own portfolio management principles. Despite predicting a 300% rise in Tesla stock, Cathie Wood continues to follow their internal principles and guidelines for how to actively manage their ETFs. Shocking news. But of course, who the f*** would click on a headline like that? This is a bit of a problem. The mainstream media, it's all about getting clicks, generating advertising revenue from eyeballs, and so whatever it takes. Literally every single time ARK Invest manages their portfolios, the mainstream media can produce headlines, Tesla's sold by ARK Invest again, and people will panic and worry and be concerned and click and they'll make more advertising revenue, despite the fact that every one of these instances, there's no change in their thesis around Tesla stock. They're literally just doing their job, doing what they have to, following their own guidelines. Now, if I were a click slut, I just made that word up, but I'm sure you guys and girls can figure out the meaning there, I would do the exact same thing. Every time ARK Invest sold any meaningful amount of Tesla stock whatsoever, new video, new headline, Cathie Wood sells Tesla stock. And of course, people panic and click, and then I say, Cathie Wood sold this much of Tesla stock, hundreds of millions of dollars of Tesla stock, despite expecting Tesla stock is worth $3,000 per share in 2025. and then people panic and worry, and they sell Tesla stock, should I sell Tesla stock, what's going on? And every time over and over the cycle of fear continues. The thing is, I give as many fucks as I need clicks and revenue from this channel. Zero. So please understand when you see these types of headlines, ARK Invest sold X amount of Tesla stock, blah 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 blah, it's not because these people are accurately trying to convey the fact that ARK Invest are following their own internal portfolio management rules, but instead they're desperate for clicks and will do whatever it takes, if you know what I mean. Sorry, I was just doing some thumbnails for my next video. By the way, I'm not a hater here. I understand that most journalists and most YouTubers are simply trying to put food on the table for their kids. They've got to do whatever it takes to feed their family. Lucky for me, I don't have any family to feed. And in fact, the only feeding of others that I ever do involves a single eggplant and doesn't cost me a cent. Please don't think about that for too long. Anyway, moving along, back to you, Cathie.
I think active in ETFs and active in any wrapper, frankly, is very useful for driving alpha. Alpha, in our case, relative to not managing actively. And I'll just give you a good case in point. Tesla, if you look at Tesla in the year 2018 and take away the performance of the stock, it was a roller coaster generally throughout the year, and we were trading regularly around the volatility. If you just isolate the trading activity, our trading activity in Tesla, what you would have found is 175 basis points contribution to performance.
So, as Cathie Wood pointed out there, ARK Invest strategy of trading around volatility, buying, letting it ride a few percent, then trimming down the position, redeploying those funds elsewhere or in the same stock after its comeback, has contributed very meaningfully to their overall returns in their actively managed ETF funds.
And remember, 2018 was a down year. We had an up year, and I think one of the important reasons is we trade around the volatility. If Tesla is going down because some hedge fund or negative analyst is saying something that seems really awful, we have a pretty good handle given our research on that stock, and we'll be buying into it unless it's a big surprise to us. And on the contrary, when we feel like analysts are hyperventilating about a stock, including Tesla, when there were takeover rumors of it, helped by Elon Musk himself, we naturally just take profits because we know we're going to get another opportunity associated with controversy to buy the stock lower. Yeah, just one last point. How can you be so positive on Tesla and be selling it? Well, I sold it just in the way I described, but it never lost the number one position in our funds. If we had not taken profits in its ride up from 178 to 900 or nearly 1,000, it would have been nearly 20, maybe over 20% of the fund. That would not be wise portfolio management. We like to control our position sizes as I described.
I hope this has clarified a few things for those of you who are a little bit unsure about why ARK Invest keeps selling Tesla stock over and over and over, and why there's so many headlines about this every time it happens in the mainstream finance media. Just before we wrap up here today, I want to show you folks ARK Invest portfolios as they stand today, the ARKW Next Generation Internet ETF Fund and the ARK Innovation Fund, ticker ARKK. We can see here in both of these funds, Tesla currently weighted at just over 10% of the value of both of these funds. You know what that means? ARK Invest will not be buying any more Tesla stock in either of these funds until they've sold more Tesla stock, taken some profits when it reaches 11, 12, 13% of the total value of the fund. Then of course there'll be a bunch of new headlines, ARK Invest sold Tesla stock, and the same cycle repeats itself again until ARK Invest buys more Tesla stock and nobody reports on that because that's not very exciting. Just to give you guys and girls a sense of conviction here, Tesla stock now 10.2% of the ARK Innovation ETF. The next biggest position there, about half the size at 5.65%, which is Teladoc Health. And if we go over to the ARK Next Generation Internet ETF, over 10% again. The next biggest position, again, about half the size of Tesla, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And very interestingly, Coinbase now making up 5.2% of the fund, by the way. I'm actually very bullish on Coinbase over the long term. Great app, great service, great product, and brilliant CEO with a big brain and even bigger testicles. For those of you who don't know, about a year ago, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, heavily incentivized all of the SJWs, members of the woke mob, and the snowflakes working at the company and whining about politics 24/7 to please get the out of the company, and offered them a very, very generous package to piss off. 5% of the company did exactly that. A year on, he's provided an update. This has had absolutely no impact on their diversity numbers. This was a brilliant move. A lot of people from other companies who are sick of all the bullshit have now joined CoinSpot. Shout out to the likes of Apple, who don't have any leadership with the spine at this point in time. By the way, I'm not joking here, guys. Check back in 10 or 15 years and watch what has happened to Apple's financial results. The woke mob has completely and utterly taken over. The so-called leadership are gutless, spineless, pandering pleasers, and things won't end well. But I digress. So anyway, I hope that this video has provided a little bit of insight into why ARK Invest and Cathie would continue and will continue to sell Tesla stock in fairly large quantities in terms of dollar amounts. It's just part of their portfolio management strategy. And next time you see somebody spreading some fear, uncertainty, doubt, tarnishing the reputation of ARK Invest or Cathie Wood, saying that they're liars or they've become really bearish on Tesla stock because look, they're selling Tesla stock, you can send them a link to this video. Let me know in the comments below if this is news to you, if you didn't realize that ARK Invest had some internal policies and procedures on how they manage their positions, their buying limits, what they do once the stock runs past 10%, etc. And also, since I've been getting a ton of DMs and also seeing a lot of comments about Chamath Palihapitiya, let me know if you guys and girls would like me to make a video about Chamath selling his position in Tesla stock. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan, this is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card, where you can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase. There's a link in the description. You can also earn up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, also linked below. And finally, don't forget your free stocks with WeBull and Stake, also linked in the description. These great offers also help out the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.